At the absolutely massive Yu-Gi-Oh! 25th anniversary event, they made all our childhood dreams come true by announcing that they'll be unleashing an official Yu-Gi-Oh! VR video game. And no, this isn't that pot of greed meme that you guys have seen all before. You know the video I'm talking about.
You never saw this coming! I summoned Pot of Greed to draw 3 additional cards from my deck!
That's not what it does!
This is an officially licensed video game that will be coming to VR headsets, including the MetaQuest 3, as it was the main HMD they were using to present this game to us, which is really exciting to me because my very first video in the VR space was actually showing you guys how to play Duel Links through virtual desktop on your headset, which made it like absolutely nuts. But it's just such a crazy thing to see after all this time. We finally are getting Yu-Gi-Oh! In VR, and guys, this could have bigger implications just because we have mixed reality in the game now. So we could be getting some very, very exciting and cool technology here in the future. Mixing AR, VR, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Could be the best thing to ever happen to us. But let's break it all down in this video, and I'll tell you guys exactly what they were talking about, as I had to translate a Japanese conference into English and then watch a few more videos just for context. So let's break everything down real quickly. Okay guys, so I'm gonna do two things for you here. I'm gonna play the clip that they showed us at the announcement, and I'm also going to kind of like pick Easter eggs out of that clip here and there while adding some information about the game that they actually announced. So let's talk about what this game is called. So far the game is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Solid Vision, and it's associated with the Duel Links game. Now, this has been announced to possibly be a placeholder name, and amongst many of the people who are already making videos on the topic, we all still think it's kind of a placeholder name, and that it's very possible that they will change this later down the road. But if they stick with Solid Vision, I still think it's a great name. It's possible that you'll have an avatar, as you can see from this clip here, but players may have an avatar in the future, or they may not. The game may just be duel focused, basically meaning that it's just focused on playing the card game, and all the avatars are just pretty plain. Back in the day, there was an avatar that was just like a dude in a hat called the Vagabond that everyone had to play as. This could be a very similar thing to that. It's also very possible that this is just a character to represent the 25th anniversary of the game, as you can see the 25th anniversary on his chest and the Kaiba Corp logo on his back. As a personal side note, I think a great way to incorporate this game into an actual video game, if it's not like the Duel Links thing, would be to use Yu-Gi-Oh! VR that already exists, rather possibly even the VR from Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, which is actually a whole world based off of a virtual reality Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, or even the older DM arc Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they went into a virtual reality game made by Kaiba in a little mini arc. Another interesting note is that they changed the card back to look more like the Dark Side of Dimensions movie, but with an animated swirl on the card. You can also see that drawing the card is directly in front of you rather than off to the right like in most of the apps and card games, and what this basically does is make it to where it's left or right-handed kind of automatically because it's dead in the middle. The style of menu and card stat presentations kind of mimic the Dark Side of Dimensions movies as well. If you go back and look at that movie, you'll see it's the same kind of text boxes and that same shade of blue. The field spell activation is absolutely satisfying as everything I would expect out of playing a field spell, specifically changing the environment of the game. And I wonder how this will work when 2 field spell cards are played, or if this will be a different format of Yu-Gi-Oh! There will possibly be a story mode in the game allowing you to play through popular duels throughout the anime, plus versus mode for playing live duels, and possibly even a ranked mode, which we'll talk more about in a bit. The summoning effects and artwork are absolutely amazing. However, I am noting that they just normal summon a Dark Magician without a tribute, and Konami seems to like to do this a lot with these characters. Whereas a few years back they did a normal summon of a Dark Magician in an ad for one of the other games that they released, and it just became a meme. If the duel monsters or cards in the game actually react any way that they do in this trailer, then you'll see a more personalized and intimate reactions with your cards as you play them. It's also possible this could just be to being in the the story mode, whereas playing in the story mode, your cards are more interactive because they're kind of like playing through a cutscene, whereas possibly if you're playing a free duel or online duel, they kind of streamline what's going on in the duel. Now also, we're saying it may be on the Quest 3 simply because they presented this game working on the Quest 3. They could decide to release their own headset or partner with another company to release this game specifically or exclusively on that headset. This has not been announced, or the price point, or even what the card library will be yet, but if you guys want regular updates on this game, then definitely drop it in the comments below. The Blue Eye summon looks pretty solid. As you can see, they're doing far more of a card art style rather than a realism with the monsters. And finally, did they announce a date for this game to be being released to the public? They have not really announced exactly when they plan on launching this game, but they did announce that they have a division now fully working on bringing this game into reality. Hey guys, let me interrupt today's video to tell you about our sponsor, VR Wave. Now, if you have any visual issues with virtual reality, then VR Wave is here to solve your problem. What they can do is take your glasses prescription and shrink it down into a lens that fits via a magnet insert into your VR headset. This includes a plethora of VR HMDs, including the Meta Quest 3. These lenses can address a bunch of problems, including blue light sensitivity, astigmatism, and a few other things that you definitely need glasses prescriptions to fix. However, if you're like me and you don't need glasses but you do play games and it does wear your eyes out a little bit, the blue light filter will be perfect for you. So guys, if you want a better VR experience, whether that be you need a better visual experience or you just want to wear down the eye fatigue that you can get from hours of gaming, then you definitely need to check out VR Wave and use my code Red Devil Studios to get 5% off your total order. That's Red Devil Studios to get 5% off. Thank you guys so much. Now let's get right back into this video. So what do I think of it? I think so far in recent years, Konami has been doing a pretty good job with at least their video game formats, with a slight lack of, cards being kind of fun to summon and things. But as far as mechanically, does the game work how it does in real life? Are there bugs or anything like that? Not really. I have been pretty satisfied with playing all of the formats of the video game based Yu-Gi-Oh games, whether that have been back when they released a Legacy of the Duelist on multiple formats, or Master Duel, and even Duel Links way back when. In all of these formats, they have been doing a pretty good job of regulating the cards and basically making a pretty addictive and fun way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game, but in an electronic format. So I think this will translate really well to VR, especially because, like I said, just playing Duel Links on a computer or streaming it over to your VR headset that way is pretty fun. So having an actual game dedicated to it that isn't buggy. I tried the Yu-Gi-Oh! VR, by the way back when it was coming out, and you had to get invited to like a private Discord and then get a download, and it was a wild ride to get the game for starters. But when you actually got to play it, you had to know that the cards didn't play like the real cards do. It was just kind of like a simulator for people who wanted to play with the avatars. You could make this more akin to like a VR chat kind of room where you can play with objects and things, but for the most part, it didn't have the fundamental rules of the card game in place to be able to get to do anything. And that's exactly why that meme exists of the draw 3 cards for Pot of Greed thing, is because they were able to not follow the rules of the game. So this would be an amazing addition to everyone's VR headset. This could even push the sale of VR headsets to people who never even thought about getting one, just to experience a 3D version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And this could even extend, like I said, to mixed reality, where you're able to play in your living room with someone else who has a MetaQuest 3. You're facing each other and you're able to use the 3D spatial awareness that thing has and the pass-through that it has in order to duel someone with augmented virtual reality, mixed reality in your living room. And this is the beauty of it, guys. They can even make it where the size of the dueling field is based off the distance between you and your opponent. So let's say you and your opponent are only like a table length across. That means the dueling field would be tiny. It would be small. but your cards would be large and you'd be able to play and see. You know, maybe your monsters would be like the size of action figures, like 6 inches tall or something. And if you're far apart, you guys decide to back up, it just expands the size of the duel field based off of how far apart you want to go, that, you know, within reason that it can stand. So if you guys stand like 12, 15 feet apart, now you have big duel monsters, ones that kind of remind you of playing in the show. I think this would be a great way to integrate just playing in AR, but enough of my wild theories. I think another great thing about this is just simply that it's going to bring a lot of new players to Yu-Gi-Oh! In addition to getting a lot of players back into the game. Now, to wrap up something else I promised I would talk about in this video, and that's how does Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains factor into this? And yes, that's a weird title, I know. Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains is a show, to catch you guys up real quickly, who may not know about it, is basically, it's one of the later arcs of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they play a virtual reality based version of Yu-Gi-Oh! That introduces 1 Cyberse type monsters and 2 Link type monsters. This is a different way of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I believe this was called Master Rule 4 for Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was basically a way of limiting summoning from the extra deck through the filter of Link summoning. Now, enough of the technicalities with the cards. Basically, in this version of Yu-Gi-Oh!, players would log into a virtual reality world that allowed you to ride these like jet stream type of things that basically made you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Then you could hop off of the jet streams and just like stand there and duel someone, and this would make you play a master duel, which is basically what everyone remembers Yu-Gi-Oh! To be for the most part. This would make it to where they could make a 3-dimensional adventure, like interactable kind of world rather than just a like duel simulator. Either one would be acceptable, but you know, I'm hopeful for the big picture. And I'm gonna answer just like the last silly thing that could be on all of our minds, and that's, could this lead to dual disc type of technology? I mean, maybe if they decide to make a whole game around this and they go with the mixed reality version and they go with developing a headset that's just more preferable, lighter possibly, and maybe only oriented to being on like a Konami based server or something that hosts all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, or maybe they outsource that to someone else and they're able to build their own headset, or outsource building that headset, or partner with a company who wants to build a headset with them that's basically just made to be a AR MR kind of device and allows you to play this very cleanly and smoothly with possibly an app on your phone or some way of digitally storing your cards and most of your data being on the cloud, of course. You could even translate this to being able to be played on multiple platforms. Like if you have the Konami device, of course it's better, but if you played it on a MetaQuest 3, it'd still be pretty amazing. Either way, guys, let me know what you think about this stuff in the comments below. I think it's pretty awesome that they're marking the 25th anniversary of this game by basically dropping this bombshell that we're getting the long-awaited Yu-Gi-Oh! VR game. And geez, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, after a lot of the disappointments with the VR MMOs that we were hoping for, I really hope this Yu-Gi-Oh! VR game turns out to be absolutely amazing. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Check out my sponsor in the link in the description. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.